गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in the 8th chapter of Amrutanubhava. The knowledge is denied. In the previous chapter, which was a huge chapter, 295 OVs, in that we denied what? Ignorance. That ignorance, there is nothing like ignorance. It is not possible to have ignorance. We imagine that there is ignorance, but if you really analyze, you will find there is only truth, there is no ignorance. And now he is going to deny knowledge also.
Taking everything away.
Taking everything away, that's right. Taking everything away. Here, Swamiji's commentary says, with reference to spiritual aspiration, individuals fall under three categories. The Pamara, the Vishayi, and the Mumukshu. The Pamara is the uncouth, absolutely is not interested in anything. Vishayi, who is at least running. The first one is the dull-witted. Vishayi is the one who runs after the Vishaya, means runs after the objects. And the Mumukshu is the one who is desirous of liberation. The Pamaras, okay, here he tells the meaning. The Pamaras are those who live only at the level of the senses and are content to do so, while Vishayis are those who are interested in fulfilling their desires, but within the framework of spiritual injunctions. Okay, so I stand corrected here. So it is the Pamaras who are living at the sensual level, and the Vishayis are living at the level of the desires, but within the parameters of the scriptures they follow. The highest category are the Mumukshus, who, having lived a life of full self-control and discipline, now want to get out of all these limitations of bodily existence. Once this Mumukshu is born in a seeker, he is brought in contact with the Guru by the divine hand. So how does a Mumukshu is born in a seeker? See, yesterday we saw in Bhagavad, there are three gurus that a person can come across. The first is the father is the guru of the child. Second is when you are invested with the sacred thread, that is the guru. He tells you how to live life, how to live, all the rituals, this, that, everything. Make mind single pointed, etc. And the third is the one who helps you get liberated, who gives you the knowledge of liberation. That is the ultimate. And here, and there it came that one must not decide who the guru is supposed to be of yours. You should not decide. You must seek, but you must be open for the guru to come into your life. Because guru does not come by us declaring and validating. I think he is a realized master, so I take him to be my guru. It's not like that. It's a different connection where the teacher feels connected to you and you feel connected to the teacher. Every teacher is not for every student. Everyone is having their own. You have to find out who. And that it's not that you have to find out. It gets revealed to you who. And that guru comes into your life once So we're talking about mukshutva. This intense desire for liberation comes when, through your sadhanas, it doesn't require too much thinking. If you even if you do yoga, pranayam, and bit of japa, as your mind becomes single pointed, automatically this feeling that every as the mind is becoming purified, in that purified mind, automatically this conclusion will start dawning that in this world there are no answers. There's no point pursuing this world for anything. In this body, there are no answers. It will never be satisfied. This mind will never be satisfied. So there must be a different way. And that different way to for permanent fulfillment is the way of the mumukshu. And that time he may have an idea that there is God, he may have an idea there is self, whatever. But by him, there are few of them who by themselves have got there because of the previous life. But most of us, we need a guiding hand, and that guiding hand is the guru who comes into our life. And guru coming into our life does not mean that he's always, saying how beautiful you are, how intelligent you are, how meditative you are. No, he's ready to give you the stick also. He's ready to scold you and put you in place or not talk to you, or all the different ways they employ in order for that student to come out of the thought obsessions or emotional uh, entrapments that they have created for themselves. Hmm? Because his purpose is only one, to chip off all the coal so that the diamond comes out. That's all his goal is. He's not interested in your likes and dislikes. He's not interested in your pains and joys. His only purpose is to bring out the gem out of you. No seeker has a fresh, clean slate. He carries with him his own load of concepts about himself, about the world, and about God. So the Guru has to build the castle of self-realization on this foundation of concepts without creating any new ones. See how beautifully Swamiji has said. So we all human beings, we are already carrying enough load. And what is that load? The load of this life, the load of this world, the load of huh? Load of concepts, notions, superstitions, and using and also about God. So the first here it says the load of himself. Himself meaning that I am this body itself is a load. The concept load of the world, that I am in this world, the world is very huge, I am only a teeny weeny part of this total world, and so many things are out of my control, government is out of my control, diseases out of my control, famine, natural disasters are out of my control, sunrise and sunset is out of my control, and he looks at all this and he feels that my God, this is too big. And then the last is God. He keeps going from temple to temple, pilgrimage to pilgrimage, from ashram to ashram, wherever he goes. There must be some power which is. He is looking for it outside. That is his problem. And that divinity is his essential, his own nature. And as long as it is creating a separation between the divinity, then it becomes a load to carry. See, big load. So, but this is all we have. This is how we were born. You did not create it. It was already like this. With what is already there, the teacher, the Guru Maharaj, has to shift your attention towards with those what is present. Body is present, world is present, God is present. Individuality is present, totality is present, and the world is present. Using this, he has to deflect your attention from all these, from from uh, from the from the entrapments to the freedom. This is what Sant Jnaneshwara does in a unique way in Amrutanubhava. He begins with expounding the oneness of Shiva Shakti, then presents salutations to the Guru, who is none other than the Supreme Self, deals with transcending the limitations of speech, dwells on the impossibility of the word Satchidananda to indicate the truth, explains the inability of any means of knowledge before to define the truth. These are the various chapters. The first chapter was Shiva Shakti Samavesh. Second chapter was Guru Stavanam, about the then third was the Shabda, the speech. Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para, that this speech. And what is all this? What we have been doing for last few years? It's only speech. But this speech also cannot take you to the truth, because the truth is beyond it. It must also dissolve. And how to do that, the technique was given. And dwells on the impossibility of the word Satchidananda, that the truth cannot be called by the word Satchitananda. There it was told the Sat is only employed by the scriptures to cancel Asat. Truth is employed, the word Sat is existence, to cancel non-existence. Chit, consciousness, was used to cancel the non-conscious and consciousness, and Ananda word is used to cancel dukkham or misery. So he says it is only for the mind. It has got nothing to do with the truth. Truth cannot be called truth also, because no words can define it. You cannot catch it in one word. Whether you call it truth, whether you call it reality, whether you call God, whether you call it Satchidanand, whether you call it Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarup, all these different words define reality, but they are not reality. So by using this, what do we do? What we did in meditation. Swarup Anusandhanam. Use these words and shift and aim it towards the self. Just like when your example of sleep is the best one. You use the thought of sleep, but you know thought of sleep is not sleep. You're aiming at the zero mind. What it is you don't know, because when it happens, then there is no thought. In the 7th chapter, Ajnanam or ignorance was denied, and now in this chapter, Jnanam, knowledge, is also being denied. In this way, all the concepts to which the seeker tries to hold on to for support are pulled out from under his feet one by one, until there is nothing more that can be denied, and only I, the pure self, that which cannot be conceptualized, that which cannot be denied, is left. And that is the purpose of, that is the unique way in which Jnaneshwar Maharaj has expounded. The only tool we have is thoughts. And to remove thoughts, you need thoughts. Sat, to cancel non-existence, we used the thought of existence. To cancel misery, we use the thought of bliss. Similarly, to cancel here in this Amrutanubhava, Jnaneshwar Maharaj is employing the words to cancel the words. All the scriptures are doing the same thing, but here it is very, very direct. From the point of view of self. He is is always on the high pedestal of the absolute self. From there he looks down, what does he see? From the pedestal of the absolute self, when he looks down, what does he see? Huh?
Himself.
He sees only himself. There is nothing else other than him. He doesn't see Satchidanand, he doesn't see ignorance, he doesn't see knowledge, he doesn't see the world. He sees only himself. Nothing. Nothing else other than himself. In the seventh chapter, Jnaneshwar Maharaj went to great lengths to conclusively establish that ignorance cannot be. Now, if ignorance cannot be, what is the meaning of knowledge? So, what is the opposite of ignorance? Knowledge. They also coexist. Just like the subject and object coexist in the mind, mind is nothing but a pair of opposites, isn't it? If there are no pairs of opposite, mind cannot be. And how does mind come about? With the interaction between subject and object. Now, of the duality and dualism, both. So, if it is up, there is down, there is east, there is west, there is man, there is woman, there is front, there is back, there is knowledge, there is ignorance, or if there is ignorance, there is knowledge. But all these are ideas in the mind alone. Wisdom is other than the knowledge that we have in the mind. Wisdom is absolutely different. Wisdom is the nature of the self. Knowledge is not the knowledge is that which comes and goes. Now, if ignorance cannot be, what is the meaning of knowledge? Knowledge also cannot be. In this way, the 8th chapter begins by straight away denying even the validity of knowledge in the truth. In fact, the ground for the denial was prepared early in the 7th chapter, 6th OV, that what is referred to as knowledge is another form of ignorance. This if you remember what I have just now said, that thought knowledge is also only when we separate ourselves, imagine that we are not the truth, not the reality, not that absolute, that's when individuality comes. And this individuality is because of the mind. And where are the thoughts? They are in the mind. Where is the knowledge? It is in the mind. Is the mind really there? Is there anything called mind? No. There is nothing called mind. You are imagining that there is something called mind. And where is the knowledge and ignorance taking place? In that which does not exist. What does not exist? Mind does not exist. So the knowledge which we know as thought knowledge, where is it taking place? In the mind. Where is the mind? We don't know. Then what do you know? Conclusively, that I am. And that for that mind is not required.
Can we say the mind was consciousness itself?
Yes. So we are taking from different angles. But in the end, if we are thinking about mind, then we are not being the truth, being the self. In this way, the 8th chapter begins with straight away. In fact, the ground for the denial was prepared early in the 7th chapter, that what is referred to as knowledge is another form of ignorance. If knowledge and ignorance are the two sides of the same coin, and if one side, ignorance, does not exist, how can the other side exist? This is how both Jnanam and Ajnanam are being dealt with in Amrutanubhava. Pure consciousness is knowledge. Knowing something objectively is also called knowledge. Pure consciousness is knowledge, but we use another word, wisdom. Knowing something objectively is also called knowledge, but the latter knowledge is vritti jnanam with reference to thought. That is ignorance. It contradicts presence of vritti jnanam and absence of vritti jnanam, whereas pure knowledge is without reference to thought. This is the theme of this chapter. So what did we do today? Swaswarup Anusandhanam. It does not need thoughts. Yes, you begin. Anusandhanam means aim. Once you aim and shoot the arrow, then it's all over. Aim the arrow towards where? Towards the self. And this is what is told in the Upanishads, Take the bow of Om and shoot the arrow, that photograph that she's aiming high, somewhere in the empty space. But this bow and arrow you are holding, and the arrow is facing yourself. The arrow is facing within, because it's a mental bow. And that bow is made up of the word or syllable Om. And where is it aimed at? It's not Om and you're imagining something. No, it is aimed at Swaswarup, at your own nature. When your attention is on the nature, then very quickly it will come to dawn. Hey, the thoughts is happening. I'm watching. You are the witness very quick, straight away. So pure knowledge, wisdom is self-existing. It is not because of something. Whereas vritti jnanam or knowledge of the world is because of something. There has to be object, so I know. If there is this form, then I'll know that it is Lata. But I am is not dependent on the form. It is not dependent on the mind also. It is self-existing, self-illuminated, self-knowing. The first OV. तैसे आमुचे नीनावे अज्ञानाचे ज्ञानहीनभे आम हा लागी गुरुदेवे आम ही केलो. In this way, in my essential being, just as there is no ignorance, so also there is no knowledge. Revered Gurudeva has made me unbecome to be myself. Becoming is when you identify with something. So I become a teacher when I identify with you all. You become a student when you identify with the teacher. You become an individual when you identify with the body and mind. He's saying, disidentify from it. Spirituality is, therefore, Vivek, Vairagya, Shatka Sampatti, Mumukshutvam. Vairagya is start disconnecting from everything. Does that mean that you don't live your life? No, continue living. That disconnect is in the inside. Outside the drama, let it continue. But inside, be disconnected. Yeah. In this way, that is as expounded in the previous chapter, in my essential nature, there is no knowledge or ignorance. Ignorance is always glorified in the kingdom of knowledge, and knowledge is glorified in the kingdom of ignorance. My revered Gurudeva has made me unbecome to be myself. it is only by the grace of the Guru that we can cross that threshold. Only by the grace of the Guru. If this idea is there, I am going to cross the threshold myself, is the height of ego. The height of ego. If you say that I am going to sleep, you may say I am going to sleep all the way to the bed. But if you want to say that I am going to sleep and I am going to be there, it will not happen. You will not go to sleep. All spiritual unfoldment is not a process of becoming. The whole life from childhood onwards is spent in becoming someone or the other in the relative plane of existence. Unbecoming is viveka, wisdom. The Guru has made the disciple effortlessly arrive at his own essential being. After having analyzed his own past experiences, Parikshalokan Karmachitan Mundakopanishad, the seeker approaches the teacher initially as a conceptual individual. Doubtless, this is not correct, but it is Samvadi Brahma and in due course leads to the true vision. A seeker comes to a student, teacher, with imagination that he is bound, that he is ignorant, that he doesn't know himself, that he is in the clutches of the world, that the world is a big load on his shoulders, that he has duties, responsibilities, and he must seek the truth to become, to realize. And and a true teacher, what will he do? Person is the same. Without, this is the beauty of masters. They are different masters. The teacher, in what we are doing, as we are studying throughout this text, so many moments have come where whenever we begin, no doubt is left. Isn't it? Just merely reading the commentary, thinking, getting into the shoes of Jnaneshwar Maharaj and seeing the whole, whatever we just explained, from his eyes transports us there. It's not there, that there is here. We just fall back into ourselves. Because thinking in his line of thinking is actually taking away all specificity that we have superimposed on ourselves. The specificity of birth and death, specificity of this body, specificity of our thoughts, specificity of that, I have to do meditation or I must study scriptures or all those things are okay. But even while doing it, you are not, your goal is not that. Your goal is being. And while using those words, he says, the attention is on the being, but that being already is. So where are you putting attention? Even that attention putting also has to stop after some time, because you just are. This realm of being is ever. But as long as we have considered ourselves to be the mind, then the efforts, then the seeking, all this goes on. So here he says that after some study, the student gets into another wrong path, namely to imagine that he knows the Atman. But the Guru, in his uncompromising love for the disciple, pulls him along till he arrives at a turning point when he sees that by effortlessness cannot be achieved. By efforts, effortlessness cannot be achieved. See our journey to a teacher. When a teacher comes into a life, first he teaches you, don't put efforts in the world, put efforts towards the spirit, to know the spirit. Once you become adept at it, suddenly the bomb is dropped that by he makes you put efforts, yoga, pranayama, study of scriptures, regular meditation, these are all efforts. Then he says, after many years of you putting efforts, then one day he comes and says that by your efforts you cannot reach what you are seeking. By first he told you to put efforts, now he is saying that by your efforts you cannot reach where you want to reach. So even those efforts he takes away. Effortlessness is not a result of action. Effort is action. Thinking cannot lead to non-thinking. See, sometimes we use these words, that the thought cancels the thought. Through thinking, we are saying by all these thoughts, it is taking us to beyond the thoughts. But that is only if you are subjective. But if you are in the mind, it is not possible. After some study, the student gets into another wrong path, namely to imagine that he knows the Atman. He knows the self. So this knowledge of the self is also an intellectual knowledge. It is a conviction, but it is not a direct experience. Because once the direct experience happens, even this thought that I know the self, whether it's there or not there, who cares? But the Guru, in his uncompromising love for the disciple, pulls him along till he arrives at the turning point, when he sees that by effortlessness cannot be achieved. That which always exists cannot be the result of effort. So now the student begins another line of effort, that is to be effortless. This is the third stage. That he tries to be effortless. You know, when we are going to sleep, before we are putting effort to go to sleep, what was the effort? We changed into the nightgown, we put the light off, we got into the bed, we pulled the doona, we got into a comfortable position. All these are efforts for what? To go to sleep. Then being effortless means what? See, all this required bodily movement, isn't it? Now when you are in the bed, in a comfortable position, body, now you are trying to surrender that body to sleep. Now you are trying to, then the movement was at the mental level. I have to sleep. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. I want to unload everything. Sleep, come, please, where are you? And you keep thinking of nothing. But you're thinking. And you're trying to surrender. And you're trying to be, But sometimes you completely let go, still the sleep does not come. So here it is told, now the student begins another line of effort, that is to be effortless, but itself is cancelling. How can you try to be effortless? How can you put effort to be effortless? It's a contradiction. And when same thing is letting go. I am letting go. You cannot let go. You know, people say I am letting go. Letting go happens. Growing out happens. Sleep happens. Realization happens. Waking also happens. Nothing you are doing that will bring it about. And when by the grace of the Lord and compassion of the Guru the seeker surrenders fully, effortlessness begins. Then the words in his OV, when the word, then the words in this OV are born. This is my essential nature, where there is neither knowledge nor ignorance. This state cannot be reached by the disciple on his own. The Guru alone can give this final touch. Just like Ramakrishna Paramhans, he was obsessed with Kali Mata, the goddess Kali. And she used to, she was the only thought in his mind most of the times. And then one day, but he wanted to experience uh, meditation or the self, he has heard. And then what it was, Totapuri Maharaj, he came. And even though such a great master in his own right, Ramakrishna Paramhans, that teacher came and he said, take that goddess out of your mind. He says, I can't. He said, okay. And as one or two attempts, it didn't happen. Then he said, now take a sword and cut her head off. In the mind only. And he cut the head off. Because Guru Maharaja said, the moment he did, 3 days he did not come out of meditation. The mind got absorbed into its own essential nature. No wave erupted, thought wave, completely absorbed in himself. How was this possible? Only because of because of the teacher. Then afterwards, Ramakrishna Paramahansa became his guru, his teacher. Because he put him into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, after that, he practiced, he went into Sahaja Samadhi. That in spite of everything else in the world, I am. Which Totapuri did not know. He says, I don't have to deny anything in life. Because I did not create it in the first place. Everything is me. And therefore, what comes, let it come. What goes, let it go. I got no say in it. I don't have to run away from the world in order to be in that state of meditation. And then Totapuri Maharaj, they say that with that lesson, he went away to Puri and his Samadhi is there. This state cannot be reached by the disciple on his own. The Guru alone can give this final touch. This is what the Bhagavad Gita tells us. After having talked at length of Karma Yoga, then of Upasana, in both of which there is the expression of individuality, in the last part, Bhagavan Krishna talks of that which cannot be said to exist or not to exist. Ultimately, Bhagavan tells Arjuna in the 18th chapter, 64th and 65th verse, he says, now you decide what is right and do it. However, there is a supreme word of advice to you. Surrender your mind, your devotion, your actions to me. I am you. I have accepted you as I. You do likewise. The Lord is saying, I am me and me is you. I have accepted that. That nothing in this creation is other than me. So now you also do the same thing. That you also accept me not as separate person, separate from you. Accept me as you. Vision will transform. How? By surrendering totally unto the Lord and dropping everything else. This is the supreme Purushartha. It is this ultimate surrender that is indicated in this OVE. This infinite grace of the Guru is evident at all three levels of Shaktipat. At the Sat level, the will of the Guru can fulfill one's material needs. At the level of Chit, the consciousness The grace of the Guru gives the disciple the ability to understand what is studied, and at the level of the Ananda, at the moment of trial and tribulations, by the remembrance of the Guru, the misery may continue, but one ceases to be miserable. Again, Satchidanand. Vaikari Madhyama Pashanti. Sattva Rajas Tamas. All three. You transcend all this. Or you learn not to forget yourself when you are in that. In the waking, you do not forget you are the self. In dream, you do not forget you are the self. In deep sleep, you do not forget you are the self. When you are moving around in the world, you do not forget about the self by His grace. At the level of mind, you do not forget the self by Guru's grace. And at the Ananda level, you do not, in spite of the miseries, you do not forget you don't stop being the self. After these three levels is the fourth level of Amrutanubhava. The fourth level is that of Amrutanubhava, where Ishvara, Guru and Atma all merge in the same truth. They are one and a homogeneous mass. One alone, just like you alone are being called or expressing as the mother, daughter, sister. Similarly, this one reality alone is expressing as the God, Guru, and the Atma, the self. Although the Guru and disciple are realized to be one, at the level of the gross body transactions, the two have to maintain separateness. But by helping the disciple to unbecome what he was considering himself to be, the Guru has revealed to him his own essential being. See, even after having realized, Jnaneshwar Maharaj has written this after realization. Yet, no place he ever says, I don't need a Guru. That is the ego trip. Even now, everywhere, at every chapter, in every few verses, he says, by the grace of the Guru Maharaj, there is not nothing. There is that Sadguru, that infinite reality, which is the true Guru, by whose grace all this is happening or not happening, becoming or not becoming. This is achieved by the disciple not by doing anything, but by his total surrender to the teacher. There it comes. Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. That the student carries dry twigs and surrender himself at the feet of the teacher. That dry twigs represent that all his concepts, ideas, notions, everything has become, he's dried out, he's got no interest in all those things. Ready to be, all it needs is a spark, and once the spark touches those dry twigs, it will catch fire. So this mind has become so withdrawn, so dispassionate from everything. With all those twigs of thoughts, he has come to the teacher so that teacher can light the spark. And the fire of realization kindles within his bosom. And after the truth is revealed, the same truth expresses itself at one point as Guru and at the other as disciple. Just like the same water at one point is expressing as wave number 1 and another point as wave number 2. Is the same water. Exactly the same way the The reality, the truth, which is one without a second, it alone is expressing at one point as the Guru and the other place as the disciple. And there is no contradiction. The separateness is maintained in the oneness. Purnamada, Purnamidam. That even if everything is complete, that truth is complete, when from that one complete truth something is taken out, what remains behind is also complete, what comes out is also complete. So is this truth. Out of that truth, the Guru and disciple came. Guru is also complete, disciple is also complete, but imagining that is not complete. So the Guru who knows that he is complete, he comes and helps the other fellow, hey, get out of this incompleteness. Go beyond completeness and incompleteness and experience the nectar of immortality. In this way, Gurudeva has made me unbecome in order that I may be myself. One unbecomes by making the highest tyaga, sacrifice, of one's individuality by accepting the good and the bad with the same reverential attitude as Lord Rama did. Once the surrender comes, then one can fully understand with what Jnaneshwar Maharaj says about his Guru. We saw the Lord Rama's surrender at the feet of sage Vashishta. What Swamiji started last year, the Yoga Vashishta. By the end of Yoga Vashishta, Ram knew who he is. And his entire life, his marriage, his killing of all the demons, killing the big one, the Ravana, then coming back, then ruling the country, then sending his wife away to the ashram, eventually losing her permanently. He is doing all the drama that is required to be done outside. It is happening. But inside he knows. He is abiding in himself. After the Guru revealed my essential nature to me by his grace, I thought, I have now become realized. What do I look like now? We'll see it in the next class. What do I look like now? Here he says, we'll read it next class, but Pari am hi am ha aho, तय कैसे पाहो जावो, तव काय कीजे ठावो, लाजीजे ऐसा. How is being apart from becoming? To see this, when I tried and failed, I felt shy. That is, the relative I disappeared before the absolute I. In unbecoming, as you are letting go or in that surrender, in that attitude of surrender, all concepts, ideas, notions, they are just melting away, melting away, melting away. The last thought, I am the reality. Aham Brahmasmi. Huh? This is one of the Mahavakyas. Aham Brahmasmi. I am that reality. It's still a thought. But as long as it is a thought, now the acumen is also there, that this thought, it's only a thought. And in that surrender, even this, that how can I think that I am Brahman? Even that thought, that last thought that I am that reality is also keeping me separate from the reality. Then allows that also to go away. The thought that I am sleepy and sleeping is keeping me from sleep. That last thought of sleep also is surrendered at the altar of the sleep. Same thing happens here also. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ